What is going on, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am so glad that you are here together as we get ready for our live session. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. We had a lot to talk about today. It's going to be a good and a fun and an important session, as they all are. It takes a lot of work. It takes laser focus to do what we do, and that's why we are who we are. It is a positive community. I was out with some friends last night talking about what a special, unique place this is, how you all lift me up each day, how it's so special to find on the internet so many positive people who are looking to help each other. It's absolutely extraordinary. A big shout out and thank you to all the moderators. A big shout out and thank you to each and every one of you who are CTM. All right, everyone, let's take a look at what's going on over here this morning. I saw someone, I highlighted the conversation. That's right, Greg. I saw someone this morning pointing out that it looks like that we have a smaller bull flag outside of this last bull flag we just broke out of. I mean, I was watching the same thing this morning. I did the chart work over there to see if it's correct. And yeah, but either which way, I like it. What I like about reading that comment, I love when we're all on the same page. I was thinking last night to myself, how when I follow everyone on Twitter, the chart work that everyone's putting out, that it's just like the community just keeps getting better and better and better. You guys don't need me anymore. You guys don't even need me anymore. It's amazing, and I'm grateful for it. All right, speaking of which, you guys don't need me. This is Brad's beautiful chart work over here that we've been following, and you can see that we've come back down and we've tested the bottom end of this trend line. So far this morning, it seems to be holding as support, okay? Just some situational awareness. Here it is looking at Bitcoin perpetual futures on Binance. This is also Brad's artwork over here, and it's brilliant and it's beautiful. You can see that touch over there. This is the last bull flag we broke out of over there, the breakout, right? And we haven't come back down and tested the broken resistance as support, and we might not have to, and I hope we don't have to, but we're going to be prepared for that. I just want you to see one last chart over here. This is versus Tether, and you can see over here this beautiful touch over there. On the Tether, this is Binance. Bitcoin Tether, you can see that it did come back down, and it touched the broken resistance here, holding as support. This is beautiful. It's beautiful to see the beautiful work coming out of all of you. So where does that bring us? We got a lot to talk about today. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. What do we got over there, Sarah? No noise cancellation. Yeah. All right. Let's get focused, but let's do it today in stride. We got no rush today. Happy to be here with you all. And I want to make sure we accomplish what we need to accomplish. And that's what we do each and every day. That's making sure we come out of the session just having absolute clarity and situational awareness. The futures, by the way, the equity markets, they're kind of flat. We have the Fed meeting minutes today, right? So ahead of the Fed meeting minutes, they're kind of flat. We got, is it Powell speaking tomorrow? Was I off by a day yesterday? I think I told you yesterday was the Fed meeting minutes, and then Powell was speaking. Well, no, today's Thursday. I don't know what's going on. That's okay. I'm going to focus in on the charts. Jordan, would you focus in on the technicals? What do we have over here, though, before we get... Oh, let's start over with this guy over here to get me in the mood.
Simply flooded the system with money.
Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it. We did.
Where does it come from? Do you just print it?
We print it digitally, so we...
That never, ever, ever gets old. Jerome Powell, yeah, we flooded the system with money. And then we have over here Bitcoin, right? Oh, there's one more chart I wanted to show you over here. Look at this. It was during the last training session. I said $100 trillion. It seemed to be right. This is global M2 money supply. This is Bitcoin making now the $1 trillion market cap. That, by the way, we were at the dinner with some friends last night. It happens to be someone in, let's call it traditional finance, New York City banker, moved to Florida, right? And, what's funny is that he has no idea what's going on with Bitcoin. And you're talking about someone who's really, really well for themselves and has for a while. No idea what Bitcoin's trading at how much? $57,000? Oh, I missed it. What's going to happen with the whole subset of people, right? And I'm talking about people with money that are going to have to buy into Bitcoin at much higher prices because they think they missed it at $57,000. Right? We got a lot of money slushing around in the system, and Bitcoin's just getting started. I would love to see this chart 4 years from now, as Bitcoin is approaching what I believe will be close to a $10 trillion market. We're far from that, but I would love to see this then, and we'll talk about it as that happens, because we will be here together. We will be here together. It's what we do and who we are. You're looking over here at this. If anyone saw this on Twitter, this is interesting. I want to talk about it really quick. I'm slowly building myself into over here, into this session, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying each and every moment with y'all. And by the way, if you're watching this on the replay, I am so glad that you're here with us. Smash the like button. All right, here we go over here. You could see that this over here, this is Dr. Jeff Ross. Dr. Laser Eyes, right? He's talking about how this move over here looks like, remember in December before that January breakout where price appreciated 100% in about 3 weeks? He's talking about the structure looks very similar. And what I want to point out to you is that exact structure. You could see price going ahead, making that high, pulling back, making a higher high, and then a slow pull back into the support before it took off. And you could see that this is the same exact structure, but it's actually spread out a little further. You can see the higher high, price comes back down, makes the higher high, and now we've had this long, drawn-out pullback. Are we getting ready here for the move up? We're going to actually talk about that this session, right? But if you notice the title of this session, and it's an important one, because it says, what do I think happens next? Are we going to see some type of massive shakeout or a melt-your-face-off move up? Both of those things, however, because if it's a shakeout, it's going to be a massive shakeout. A lot of people are going to feel a lot of pain because they don't know how to manage risk. So I'm going to make sure in this session here, we talk about our downside. And if anyone's trading lightly leveraged, they know their levels ahead of time. If we have a shakeout, it's going to be quick, in my opinion. And either which way, we are soon rocketing up. We are getting ready over here. All right, let's take a look at what else we got going on this morning. Just a brief look at the equity markets over here. I should do this on the daily time frame because there's no entries to give right now. You see the S&P 500, new all-time highs. Nasdaq over here cleared well above the 13,333 resistance. Pulling back, this looks like actually a orderly pullback over there. That's a bull flag. This is nice. That's nice on the Nasdaq over there. Could that set a trigger event after the Fed meeting minutes today? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Keep watching it, right? What happens if you break down out of this bull flag, right? Well, we're looking at that support down over there, right? A breakout of, that should send us towards the all-time high. It was only a matter of time. All right, what else? The dollar is interesting this morning. Let's take a look at the DXY over here. Then we're going to get into gold and silver. We got Jordan conquering the markets by silencing the noise. I'm glad I caught that comment over there. You know, listen, you have no idea the messages I read and how important they are to me. Thank you for each and every one who share. Those that send messages on Twitter, if I haven't read them yet, it's just, I'm so sorry. But when I do, trust me, I thank you. They're very, very, very important to me. The dollar continues to be under pressure over here, the DXY, right? This is the trend line over here. We're looking for a price to hold over here. It's a big deal today, I think. I think the markets are looking at what the Fed says. We'll find out whether or not that is a catalyst. We're watching this trend line, a break below this trend line over here. That's going to be a technical breakdown, which is going to send me back towards a bearish bias on the dollar over here. I tried on the way up, by the way. You all know because you all are following my work each and every day. You all know on the way up, I tried to hold off switching my bias to the upside, and I did when I had to, right? And I break above the support over here. I tried holding off as long to see if it was a fake retest. The retest was successful and the resumption up. I call it and I will flip-flop if I have to. But the worst thing that you can do, in my opinion, right? The worst thing that I could do is not follow what's happening on the charts. If you don't follow what's happening in the charts, you leave yourself to really getting left behind. I don't want to do that. I'm perfectly fine with going bearish on the dollar here, bullish, and then having to flip-flop. The worst thing that could happen was that we remain sideways because we have been sideways now for quite a while, and I get caught up in a chop. So if that happens, if I change my bias to the downside over here, right, and then all of a sudden we trade back above the support again, we're going to have to talk about how that we are in a chop, what it means, and how we're going to react. But we're not there just now. Some people might have noticed in the last few sessions why we're seeing that weaker dollar. Bitcoin has been under pressure. So they might be asking, well, what's going on, right? Is it a dollar story? It's been a long time. Not that it's not always a dollar story, right? But it's been a long time since I've been drilling. It's a dollar story because it's not a dollar story right now. Right now, it's a Bitcoin story, right? We're in the Bitcoin bull market phase. We have not yet hit the parabolic move. When that's coming, and when that comes, I mean, Bitcoin is going to break all correlations by a large margin. It already has broken all correlations. There's no question about that. And the reason that as the dollar's coming off these last few sessions and Bitcoin is also coming off is because Bitcoin doesn't really care. No, sincerely, Bitcoin doesn't really care. Bitcoin's doing its own thing right now, and that's what's happening over there. So don't get tied up in those correlations, which are important when they're important, but not when they're not. Andreas is pointing out a cup and handle on the DXY. I don't know. Let's check it out. Let me zoom out a little bit. Is he looking at this over here? This is, I mean, not me, but what he's looking at is this, right? So hold on. Something like that, right? I'm just going to continue to focus on what I focus on here in the 8 hour. It definitely gives me the greatest edge and the greatest accuracy. The chart patterns that we look for, right? We're generally looking for, let's say, triangles, right? Ascending and descending triangles, as well as symmetrical, right? We're looking for definitely bull flags and bear flags, right? For ascending and descending wedges. Those are the ones that you find that we use all the time in our work. And then we have over here, this is not a chart pattern, but this is our beautiful, beautiful consolidation. And then we look for that trend line break. That's when the magic happens. Let's take a look over here at gold this morning. This is interesting, right? Gold is broken out above this resistance over here. This was, let me just zoom out. Let me go to the daily, right? Come to the daily over a second. You're looking at this beautiful, beautiful pullback over here. And then we broke down. We broke down below this support over here. When we broke down, we did find support, bounced into the resistance, was rejected. And so far, it looks like we put in a double bottom at that 1678 support. You can see over here in February, late February 2020, that was resistance. And then when that flipped, that was into May, into June of 2020, it became support. That area has now been tested. But more importantly, not because I don't look for double bottoms or anything like that. What I'm looking at is here that we've broken back above that resistance, back into this consolidation pattern. And as we broke back above, we came into what? The first resistance. It's amazing how these things just repeat themselves over and over again. And now we're coming in for the retest, right? Is this an entry signal if you break back above here after the breakout, retest, resumption up? Is that an entry signal targeting this area over here? I mean, clearly it is. There's no question about that. Is that a trade that you want to take? Well, that's for you to discern, right? Listen, gold above this line over here that's highlighted in brighter above there. That's when this becomes very interesting. That's when there's going to be a lot more momentum. Let's see what happens. Just tracking it and continue to tracking it as gold is interesting here now. It is beautiful here. When I say it's beautiful here, I mean it's trading technically beautiful, right? It's easy. It's clear. That doesn't mean that I think that like, oh, I'm going to buy or sell gold here. Just pointing out what I'm watching, what I'm seeing. Silver rejected at the resistance we talked about yesterday and very clearly in the live stream. Do not buy into resistance. Even if you think it's going to break out, never buy into resistance. The question I propose to you today, and it's just for you to see what you think, right? The question that I propose to you today is if you can see the move into resistance, and now you can see price orderly pulling back. If you get the breakout there, is that the entry as opposed in this particular case, waiting for a breakout, retest, resumption, right? Interesting. Think about it. We'll see, but just keep that in mind. Let's check out the 10-year. What's that doing over here? This, by the way, so far looks very bullish and continues to look bullish. Let me show you here in the daily time frame why I say that, because we have not yet even broken out the upper end support over here, right? Nevertheless, the 144. Get below 144, and then we're looking at a bigger correction. Right now, this is entirely bullish. We've had the move into resistance, the pullback, and then another move into resistance, finally breaking it above. And then we have the retest, resumption off, another retest, resumption off, making a higher high. I mean, it's too soon to be calling any type of correction in yields. Could the dollar, as we're seeing yields over here looking quite bullish? By the way, there's one other thing I want to add to this chart over here, and that would be a trend line like that, right? Everyone can see that pretty clearly, right? A breakdown over there, then there's a good chance we could take out that area of support, and we'll see whether or not that holds or not. But as long as yields are looking technically bullish over here, that does bode well for the dollar. We'll see what happens as that dollar over here is at that important area right over there. All right. So it's amazing how all these markets work so well together. Gemma, thank you. I think this is the first session since we're back, since taking that 3-day weekend because of Good Friday, that I feel like I'm enjoying the flow over there. Thank you for that support. I appreciate that very much. It means a lot to me. Let's take a look over here. I want to share this with you. This is going to be fun. I like having fun. I have this like coffee in hand. I'm missing the matcha, but when I have my coffee in hand and I'm looking at charts, I mean, that's what I did when I was a young kid and I got into the markets. I would spend, my weekend, Saturday morning, with a cup of coffee going over and looking at charts. Things have not changed. Things will never change. I'm never going to retire. It's a passion, right? And it's also intellectually challenging, which is one of the reasons I got into it in the first place. I want to share this with you. First, I'm going to lead into it, reading the comment. It's going to be a segue that covers, let's say, 4 different tabs. So let's start over here. Thanks so much for opening my eyes to the possibilities, right? CTM all day long. Your view on exiting Bitcoin. This is a Conquering the Market live training session that we did twice. 2 exiting Bitcoin sessions, the first and then the second. Newfound clarity on a better strategy. The information you provide is life-changing for anyone that wants to embark on this journey towards financial freedom. Let's take a look over here. And look, I'm going to explain this chart really quick because it's a little noisy, but it's super important, okay? Everyone is familiar. Down over here, first of all, you're looking at the pair gold versus Bitcoin, okay? This orange dot over here, gold versus Bitcoin. And you can see this area over here highlighted. This is the bear market in Bitcoin. And then again over here, this is the bear market in Bitcoin. The next thing that I want to point out to you, these are the halving dates. The first one in November of 2012. Then you're looking at July 2016. And the most recent one in May of 2020. Over here, you have highlighted in this blue square over here, the bull market phase that occurs after the halving. Okay. Now, I'm not getting into whether or not the cycle low, the bear market low, approximately 15 months to the next halving, right? Obviously, that's when the bull market begins because that's the low. But what we're talking about here is the bull market phase that occurs after the halving. It's very well noted over here. And then you could see following the bear market following the bull market is the bear market. And that's what I want to focus in on with you right now is the bear market phase. And you could see and tracking gold versus Bitcoin. A lot of people are going to be tempted to move and exit Bitcoin into a stable coin, collecting their 8.6% interest. I happen to think that's dangerous. I do think that's dangerous. If there's any risk to lending platforms, and one went down last week, didn't they? And others will go down, right? The greatest risk, in my opinion, is going to be during the bear market phase. I think that people are not expecting it. I think that people are going to get their faces ripped off in relatively short amount of time. That's the greatest risk. But some people think that perhaps the best trade out there is exiting to dollars. Forget collecting interest, collecting the swamp. Never make that the focal point of your trade. But on the downside, right, of a bear market, what are we looking at? This one was 85%. This one's 84%. So I always say roughly 80 to 85% is what we're looking at there for the bear market, okay? Now, here's what I want to focus on with you, and this is gold versus Bitcoin. I often talk about one of the easiest trades during the bull market is gold versus Bitcoin, and short gold, long Bitcoin, right? And if you don't understand that, I think you all understand that with clarity. Now, in the bear market, as the bear market begins, one of the best trades, in my opinion, is positioning into gold versus Bitcoin. And I just want you to focus in on over here, right? And you're looking over here during this bear market between the 2012 2016 bear market. You're looking at gold rising approximately 350%. Right. And then in the following bear market between 2016 and 2020, you're looking at gold rising versus Bitcoin approximately 250%, a lot greater than the 85 expected drawdown on the US dollar versus Bitcoin, right? A lot greater, significantly greater. What I want to point out to you during the first bear market over here, as gold rose 356% versus Bitcoin, that gold, what it was doing during that time, that's 2016 to 2018. Hold on one second. Let me get my 2014 to 2016. Just let me pull it up for you really quick. You could see that gold was under pressure. Not only pressure, like massive pressure versus the dollar. All right. So I want you to ingrain that in your mind, and then we're going to lead into the punchline later. But what I want to ingrain into your mind is that it wasn't relevant to what gold was doing versus the dollar, because gold here is definitely under pressure, depreciating versus the dollar in this particular bear market. And then if you look at the next one over here, which is 2018 to 2019, right? As gold rose 250% versus Bitcoin. And then you could see over here that gold, again, was under pressure versus the dollar. Okay, so that's interesting. What would happen gold versus Bitcoin during the bear market if actually gold is rising versus the dollar? Well, then we might see significant gains. Not that 250% or 350% is not significant gains. It is clearly significant gains. But what I want to set up for you right here, right now, right, is that we're looking at Secretary. I can never wrap my mind. Who does she work for? Does she work for the Fed, or does she work for the US government? I don't really know. But either which way, her title is US Secretary, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. She's talking and tweeting over here, and I'm just going to read two of these tweets to you over here. As I prepare to meet with my colleagues from around the world this week at the IMF and the World Bank spring meetings, I find myself thinking back to the policymakers who gathered in Bretton Woods a year before I was born to define our post-war order. We've often talked about on this channel for the last year and a half, when they do a system reset, and I believe that it happens not only in our lifetimes, but relatively soon. I can't time that, right? But back then when I was talking about with you, we didn't have the US Treasury Secretary, former Fed insider chairman, talking about meeting with her colleagues to discuss a Bretton Woods system reset, right? Either which way, I said to you, whoever holds the gold will get a seat at the table. We know that Russia, we know that China continues to accumulate massive amount of gold, de-dollarizing, accumulating that gold. We have other countries as well. Germany took back their gold, don't forget, from the US, from the Fed. Though it was a different time, I empathize with the enormous weight they faced. Poor me. Our current juncture is no less significant. What we do in the coming months will have a profound impact on the trajectory of the global economic order and lead us into the next century of prosperity. Listen, they let us know what they're doing before they do it, always, right? We saw the IMF putting out white papers about the CBDC all the way in early 2018. I just want you to pay attention over here. Now, Bitcoin's clearly the better trade right now during the bull market phase over here. I'm going to feel really good about positioning into gold, regardless of what gold does versus the US dollar. Past performance is not indicative of future results, but certainly we see patterns and patterns and patterns, right? Just knowing, and I hope that's clear to you, that as gold was under pressure versus the dollar, it rose significantly and greater than the dollar did against Bitcoin in the last two cycles. What happens if gold's rising? What's going to happen over here? Anyway, thank you, Conquering the Markets. Thank you over here. I'm going to retweet this if anyone wants to see this chart. And then over here, boom, as per this morning's live stream. Boom. There you go. There you got it. All right. What else we got going on today, my friends and family? U.S. trade balance deficit setting a new all-time record, $71 billion. The system is obviously not sustainable, right? That's why we got Janet and her friends trying to figure out what the next move is over here. I wonder who's going to cooperate with them. We'll find out. And then over here, what do we got? Oh, I want to talk about this leading into the rest of the charts. Let me come back over here. Let me just see what's going on as the equity markets are now opening. It is 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. They're ringing the bell, but no one's there because it's all computers and people trading from home. We got markets flat here today, this morning, and that's it. Everything looking very orderly. Not much to do or talk about. We're looking at some altcoins under pressure. I do just want to highlight that we did say yesterday, do not FOMO. Do not buy that. You're preemptive. You're never chasing after price. You're preemptive of price. This is very orderly, though, so far. You could see that last bit of local support continuing to hold over here. What else are we looking at over here? We're seeing all other alts under pressure. Not a big deal. We're watching Bitcoin. By the way, Ethereum looks very good over here. Ethereum looks very good after the breakout. Let me jump back into real time. We had the breakout, the retest, the resumption off. This is where we talked about it here on our live stream together because, as I said, it looked beautiful, right? And then it is playing out beautiful. But this is very nice and very orderly so far. This is entirely bullish to see price make the new all-time high. You get the little bit of jerkiness over here, looking very solid over here. Ethereum looking good. All right, let me jump back over to here. And I want to focus. This is Bitcoin using by block count after the halving. And by block count is probably the most accurate way to do this. I think there are 4 or 5 different versions that Charts BTC shares with us. Shares with us. Hold on. Let's jump into some head snack over here. I'm going to play It's a Taco Day. Get ready for it as I drop it.
Markets, analyzing the charts, hitting projected targets within the margin. Find the flow, sip a matcha, and wait for the waves to come in with lobsters. The kind-hearted Jordan Fosters, working smarter, not harder to move the markers. On his way to conquer, trading and investing, drinking the coffee while reflecting on the blessing. The markets are not crashing, the prices might be slashing, just to pretend they're in fashion. Hit the like button, comments, and smash it. Boom, boom, Jordan in the room, grab the bull by the horns and to the moon. Throw from the plateau, make the play. Boom, boom, it's a taco day.
It's a taco day.
All right. You got to have fun. You got to enjoy life. You got to do it. Look at these delicious tacos. I definitely want some of these beautiful breakfast tacos over there. All right. Either which way. I'm going to pause here before I get into what I want to get into, right? The title of this video over here. And I want to talk about, again, last night, friend, Bitcoin's $57,000 and he's just sitting there like in defeat that he missed it. And I'm like, the Bitcoin, in my opinion, right? At minimum, I believe is going towards 280,000. I don't forget the number we put out on the video we did, 208, whatever it was. Minimum 280,000, probably closer to $400,000, but in that range, right? And you feel like you missed it at 60,000. Some people only started following this channel, a month ago or yesterday. A lot of you bought in between $30,000 and $40,000 and are wondering, what do I do? Am I going to sell Bitcoin at the top, pay 37% tax? Is that worth it for me? Look, you got to do the math. You got to do the math. What happens if you bought Bitcoin at $40,000, right? And then Bitcoin goes up to let's say $350,000, right? So you have $300,000 profit over there, right? You're paying 37% tax on it, right? That, you pay $111 to Uncle Sam. You're left with $189,000. I mean, are you trying not to make money because you have to pay tax on it? But more than that, what happens if then you buy back in at the bear market low, approximately 15 months to the halving? Let's say price is at $70,000, right? That's where I think the bear market low is going to be. We'll see. I reserve the right, as I have not yet called it, over the next 30 days or so to let you know my feelings on that, right? All of a sudden, that one Bitcoin you bought at $40,000 is now 2.7 Bitcoin, running up into the next bull market after the halving in 2024. It sounds good to me. I don't know. That's up for you. I am definitely not a tax advisor or anything like that. Consult a professional, right? But anyway, I think there's a lot of room to go here. It's still very early. It's still very early. And by the way, anyway, I think it's early. Let's look over here as we're looking at this is after the halving, we're looking by block count. And you could see that we're coming up into, in the first cycle and second cycle, the portion that we saw a huge shakeout, okay? A huge shakeout. You could see clearly over here when I go to the Bitcoin halving track it, this big dip over there. And we all know right after that was the melt your face off move. And then you saw this big dip over here. They both recovered really, really quickly. But a lot of people, if this were to occur right now, a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money being liquidated. Why? Because they don't know how to manage their risk. So we're going to look at some possible liquidation levels together. Hold on one second. People, yeah, 37 and going up, I'm sure, over the next, let's call it 4 years or so. But either which way, a lot of people, if we see this, I want you to be prepared for it in case it happens. I personally don't think it happens, okay? But I want you to be prepared for it in case it does. I know that I am. And as I talk about it right now, I am also preparing myself for it in case it does. I always want to be, let's say, prepared, right? So I'm preparing you. I'm preparing myself right now. We saw right now around this time in the first and second cycle, a huge shakeout. By the way, after the shakeout, we went to melt your face off. Is it possible we don't have the shakeout coming off that double pullback we just came off of and we move right into melt your face off? I mean, that's where I'm leaning, but prepared for both. And we have our levels, right? We tested we looked at Brad's chart this morning, testing that trend line of the channel we're in. If we had broken down out of that, would we have seen some pressure? Where would that lead us? Let me start over here. I'm going to start with my bull flag. I'm going to start with the trend line over here that we just recently broke out of, because that set us on a technically very bullish structure. We've had the breakout, right? And we came in for a retest. On the retest, we did not make the higher high, taking out the resistance that would send us. Instead, we made a lower high. We're coming back down. Now, we all know because we here together and we looked at Brad's beautiful artwork this morning, and we know that we're holding that trend line right now, right? If we break it, what happens next is we come into this area over here. This would be the area of the broken bull flag resistance. And this is something that we set up right away days ago, right? When I talked about that, that's the possibility of that occurring. It could still occur. Yesterday, that was 53,500. So now as price moves forward a little bit, that's a little bit lower, right? You have to be aware of that. You can see this little bit out. You can see this resistance and then the support over here. And then right over here, that became support, right? I wish I could show you that chart that I showed from the good doctor earlier in this session when he showed in late December, during December, the structure we were looking at, which looks very similar right now. But that last move that we're in right now, if it is the same fractal playing out, more lengthening, it came down right into that spot right over here, right? I looked at it this morning myself. Is that possible that we come down over there? If we do, that's entirely bullish. Everyone knows who's following day to day that right now, in my opinion, you are fully positioned, right? Not anymore. I got fully positioned and more right over there, right? Right there, I got fully positioned and more. And then I had to square up over there after we broke down out of that channel. And then after we came down for that other second retest. So I'm just fully positioned. And everyone should be fully positioned and comfortable, in my opinion, not financial advice. But if we break this area over here and we come back down into this consolidation of this channel, that is no longer technically bullish as we are right now, uber bullish, right? That at that point is then a little bit concerning. You have to lighten up your position, in my opinion, right? By the way, it goes without saying, always be prepared for 30% plus pullback. Are we looking at something like a 30% pullback taking us right now towards 42,800? Or is this the end more? Is this a massive shakeout? Are we still looking at the level we were looking at weeks ago when we were talking about 38,000, 37,000, almost 38, 39% pullback? You got to be prepared. Right now, your liquidation level, in my opinion, the way that I view the market, does not need to be this low. It should be higher, right? Where should it be? I mean, do you feel pretty good, pretty comfortable somewhere around $43,000? Pretty aggressive, but I do, right? So then what happens if we break down over here? Follow me. If we break down over here, just call it below this line I have over here on my chart. If you're watching this on audio, it's somewhere around $52,750. Breaking below there, you lighten up your position. So your liquidation level at that point is going from 43,000, maybe towards 40,000, maybe towards $39,000. And then if you break down below this area over here, right? If we broke down below from the channel, from the bull flag, the support over there, that's coming in somewhere around right now today. And you can see the support over there, right? If we broke below, call it $44,500, at that point, something's very wrong. Now, we all know at that point that you're expecting this shakeout, but nevertheless, there's going to be massive liquidations occurring because people are over leveraged. It could cause further selling as they're liquidated. You want to make sure that you're lightening up your position further. And now maybe you're getting below the expected drawdown that we're looking at towards that $37,000. Maybe you want to play it safe, right? And you're bringing your liquidation all the way towards 32,000, just so you're safe. You have to be safe. You cannot get liquidated at any cost. You add back on the repair. You have to make sure that you're protected. And there you are. That's what we're looking at over here. So, maybe, Gino, just so everyone is on the same page as myself, I'm not calling for any of that to happen. I very clearly said to you that I believe that in this particular case, there's a good chance we don't see the shakeout, that we just move right into melt your face off. I am prepared always for the other side, and I'm preparing you for what happens in case we run into an unruly event, right? By the way, I do expect it will be quick. If we're seeing this massive move down, people are going to be scared. People are going to be selling, getting out of their Bitcoin, right? But I'm looking for that to occur if this all occurs, right? And I think that was super clear. Everyone should have the same and nice situational awareness that I have, and I hope you do. And if you don't, just rewatch it because it was very well presented, very well articulated, and there you go. So you got to be prepared. All right. So what else are we looking at over here? That's it. I mean, great session, but it is a holiday week over here. So we're going to go like that and just keep it fresh and good. Let's play a little honeymoon vocals and we'll see if we come back to end this with anything that we need to discuss together. Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much. Oh yeah, I'm gonna come back and do FX. Yep, for sure. If you get 1,000 likes. So the question is, listen, we're talking about those, Sam, trading with lightly leveraged. You have to watch on this playlist, on the Bitcoin 4-year cycle playlist on this channel, 3 ways to trade the Bitcoin bull market. Obviously, we're all already deploying the strategy of trading Bitcoin with that leverage. And we also know when we're deploying that strategy, we're not lightening up selling on the way down. We're buying on the way down. You have to be able to trade the market with multiple strategies, depending on where you're at. But the place to start is 3 ways to trade the Bitcoin bull market. That's just fundamental. That's conquering the markets 101. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I do want to take a look at FX. I absolutely do. Thank you for reminding me of that. All right. So where are we? Where are we? Let's take a look over here. We're going to start with the DXY over here. We're going to see if we can find a flow. It was a beautiful session. I think that's why I wanted to end it. I just wanted to end it like, what a beautiful session that we put in today. But we got to get into FX over here. Super hyper important. And I hope we do. I hope at that point I earn, 1,000 likes from you all, but only like the channel, only like the video if you appreciate the time being shared with you, if you appreciate the information being shared with y'all, or if you learn something new, that's all. DXY over here, we're watching and waiting over here as we come in towards this channel area of support, right? So far, everything we were prepared for. That's all we could say. We did not hold the support over here at 92.54. We bounced off it and then broke down below it. Entry that has no name. I'm not looking to sell short. I am in an uptrend. This is the next area of support. If we break below that, things are changing. It will get tricky. I don't want to even talk about it. But if I were to clone this line, I could see that this line lines up over here as well. You could see over here if that's, anyway, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to try to keep it simple because it's very noisy over here. All right. With that in mind, yesterday, I want to build off the fact that we started to see, or I was seeing signs of the euro starting to possibly put in a change of strengthening versus other pairs, relatively strengthening, right? Now, I'm not looking to attack versus the euro yet, but I am making that mental note, and we're going to see over the next few and several sessions if that trend continues. And then we're going to wait until we get into that sweet spot. And then at that point, we would be looking to attack versus the euro, not looking to pick bottoms or tops, but just being aware of what's going on around me. Let's start with the euro US dollar. Okay. So I can see that the euro is up barely versus the dollar. Mostly the markets are unchanged. Over here. What are we looking for now over here? I want to zoom out. I just want to make sure I have some clarity. You can see where price is right now. Okay. Is that an area of also resistance or support? It's fuzzy over here. Okay. Just trying to get my idea of what's going on. I see the market broke the resistance, came back down here, and then resumed off. I'm trying to see if that's an area of then resistance, now support. It's not too clear. It's not too fuzzy. I mean, it is a little fuzzy. So I'm just making observations until something becomes clear. You see me spending a little extra time with the euro, and it's only because of what I'm observing about the possible strength coming into the markets. How about that trend line? Is that a little bit of help for us? Let me just make that a little bit darker. It's only help for the fact of seeing that that's where we came into the resistance, that we broke above. That's what I was pointing out to you is possibly happening on silver this morning. And just before we continue further, let me bring up that chart and show you that this is what I was pointing out to you could be happening over here on silver. And you could see that playing out on the euro US dollar right over here. All right. So just observations, letting it all sink in to that wonderful brain. Now I look at the pound US dollar, right? So the pound is being hit by the dollar. Euro, I could see that it's relatively stronger. I have to jump over to the euro British pound, right? We're coming towards an area that I think that you have to take full profits on this. We talked about last week, right? Hold on, let me zoom out. I messed up over here. I cleaned up. I took off some of the lines down over here, so I messed up. Look, just this is a broad, rough stroke. Anyway, I'm not going to even talk about it. If you're in any position right over here right now, I think if you break above this resistance right over here, that you need to exit your full position at that point. Okay, the market at that point is changing direction, and at that point, you're not any longer pushing the trade. Let's leave it at that. Pound US dollar under a lot of pressure over here. Something's going on. I don't know what's going on, but I could see it in the price. No question about that. Price coming into a bit of support. Maybe in that area. Let's watch what happens if we get a retest of this resistance over there and we see the dollar continuing to strengthen. It may be an opportunity to attack the pound. Nevertheless, I don't see anything right here giving any type of clarity. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Okay, so I see the New Zealand dollar is under pressure versus the dollar. And the move that we're seeing in the DXY is largely coming from the euro, which is the DXY is most heavily weighted towards the euro US dollar. And then after that, the Japanese yen. We'll check the Japanese yen next. US dollar, Japanese yen. Right? Right? I got to learn to focus on the technicals. Jordan, get it together. Get it together. 1,000 likes on the dot over here. Loving it. So this is New Zealand dollar, US dollar, and I'm seeing this bear flag, and we're towards the support of the bear flag right now. So again, this sets up an entry if we break down out of this. If the DXY holds support that it's currently into, that we all have ingrained in our minds, that channel support it's in, and then we see this breakdown over here, that's setting up the possibility to attack the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. I'll keep it green lit, and this is just a preemptive green light. There's no possible entry occurring in the London session that I believe or see. I want to move over to the US dollar, Japanese yen, which is unchanged. So what I'm seeing is that relative to other countries, the euro is the strongest versus the dollar this session. We're seeing, I gather the Australian dollar is weak. Yep, it's off 0.5%. The New Zealand dollar is weak versus the dollar. The pound is weak versus the dollar. The euro is the strongest versus the dollar and outperforming the dollar, and the Japanese yen is unchanged. So what's the yen doing? I imagine if the yen is stronger than the dollar, or relatively strong against the dollar, that the yen today is probably pretty strong. All right, we'll check that out together in a second. US dollar, Japanese yen. Look where my mouse is, right? This was resistance, and then it was flipped into support right over here on the 28th of March, right? So we're above the local support, right? Is this a place to attack though? I don't see it, and I don't think so. And I'm noticing that the Japanese yen is looking a little bit strong today. Let's check out some Japanese yen pairs. Before we do, I want to check out the US dollar, Canadian dollar. And you see the dollar stronger versus almost everything but the euro and fighting the yen. These are important observations. I know that a large part of the community is looking for a way to be able to distinguish strength versus weakness using a mechanical model. And that's good, and I support that. And I'm going to try to help as best I can to them to come to some type of, let's say, model to help them. But I think the best way to do it is doing what I'm doing with you here right now today. It's the best way, and what we do every day, anytime we look at it. It's by making the observations. It's the best way. Here you see the US dollar, Canadian dollar coming back in towards this trend line over here. Interesting, right? Interesting in the fact that if we get above it, if the dollar continues its bullish strength, it holds that channel support and resumes out of it, and we start seeing continued and further dollar strength over here if we break above not only this channel trend line resistance, but the outer one as well. Let me extend it as pretty as I can, right? If we get above both of those, that opens up a place to attack the Canadian dollar versus the dollar. I want to check also what's going on with the Mexican peso right here, right now. US dollar, Mexican peso. This is, I talked about patterns that we follow that are important. And you can see over here a descending wedge. This isn't a good one. It's an important one. I want you to see the pattern itself. That's a descending wedge pattern, right? A breakout to the upside is very bullish. I would attack. I would attack over here. I'm going to put this purple just so that we come back to it and see what happens. I'll be watching this, okay? This is resistance right now, though, over here. I'm going to make this resistance, all right? Because you got to clear outside the wedge and above that resistance, right? So I'm going to continue watching this one over here. Just for my own eyes, I want to make this a little bit lighter. It's out of play right now. And this one a little bit lighter as well, just so I clean up my chart a little bit. And I have all these resistance levels way above market. I could add that back in if we start breaking out to the upside. I just want the chart to appear, as I'm going to be focusing on it, just relatively appealing to my eyes. All right, so let's check out some other things over here. I want to check out yen pairs right now. Boom, 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 boom. Really, Dave? That's awesome. Well, I mean, that's awesome because then the Forex strength meter is a useful tool. I'm sorry. I don't mean, I say that with all humility, but I'm glad to have that confirmation. I really do. We'll start with the euro Australian dollar before I move into the Japanese yen pairs over here. We got a nice flow. Gemma, if you're still here, thank you for that earlier in the session. And I'm glad to be back into it with you all. Good shout out over there, Garcia, as the euro Australian dollar is breaking out over here outside that wedge. Now, again, that just leads me to believe to this little bit of thesis I'm developing over here that the euro is strengthening relatively to everything else right now, right? And you could see it playing out versus the Australian dollar right now. And you could see right now, do you go ahead and you look for, a place to attack? Listen, not me. That's still in a very bad downtrend. The only way that I'm using this right now is just to, let's say, solidify the thesis that we're seeing the euro strengthening. That's what's happening. All right. But I wouldn't take a trade over here simply because that I do not pick bottoms. This is in a strong downtrend. I'm not looking ready to attack. It would have to do more repair before I looked to start positioning during the sweet spot. All right. But good heads up over there. Euro Canadian dollar, you see that strong euro taking out a resistance level right here today versus the Canadian dollar. That's important to just watch for. Is that in an uptrend or a downtrend? Well, that's just like sideways for me. From a swing trader's perspective, that's definitely in a downtrend with a lot of pressure. Why it could be bottoming, I'm not interested in catching the bottom. Okay. What else? Let's take a look at some yen pairs. So I see the euro Japanese yen is now over here making a yearly high. We're close to printing a yearly high, right? First, I'm going to look, before I look at the charts, I'm looking euro Japanese yen is up 0.25% today. I look at the pound Japanese yen. I see the yen is stronger than everything but the euro, right? And the dollar. The dollar is basically unchanged, slightly more stronger than the yen. But every other currency, the yen is outperforming except the euro. There's that euro strength creeping in over here. All right. Are there any setups? Well, let's look at the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Rejected by the resistance. I could move this up over here now, yeah? I don't think I even need that line. I'm going to remove this line over here. Hold on one second. I'll find it again. I'll find the flow. Greg. Swiss franc is strong. All right. So, Greg, that's really important because we're seeing this move into risk off then if the Swiss franc is strong. This is not for you all to follow, but I just want to give you all my, what I do, right? I do not follow the Swiss franc and I do not trade on the Swiss franc outside of a crisis, right? During the crisis, I was heavily focused into the Swiss franc and Japanese yen. But outside of a crisis, I don't place my normal swing trades on the Swiss franc. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I just don't like, it's very wicky, choppy for me. I don't like it, but I'm not telling you that's just what I do. Okay. Right or wrong. Really? Miguel. So just for everyone or anyone that's listening that's new, right? There are three trading books that I have read. The Market Wizards, The New Market Wizards, and The Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. And each of those three books I have read and or listened to multiple times. Good stuff. All right. I don't know, Garcia. There are some important multi-month trends changing. Perhaps I'm just making observations. Australian dollar, Japanese yen. It's still bullish. When I say it's still bullish, we had the yearly highs, pulled back, nice pullback, breakout. Hold on, let me zoom in a little bit. We had the breakout, retest, resumption, and you could see this is a nice consolidation. So this is still quite bullish over here, and technically it's very bullish. Okay, we're seeing yen strength today, but that could be just temporary noise. I don't know yet. I'm not trying to say that we're seeing a trend change in the yen or anything like that. The only trend change that I see occurring, possibly, not calling the bottom, waiting for the sweet spot, is on the euro. Let's see what else is going on here as we look at other yen pairs. We'll move over to the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. Again, very, very bullish still. Breakout, retest, resumption. It's still above the low of the retest. Still technically very bullish over here. There's no technical breakdown yet. It looks very good. It looks very bullish. Similar to Bitcoin, right? And it's broken out of that bull flag Bitcoin, and it has not broken down back into it. Bitcoin is looking uber bullish. I'm fully positioned. And the yen also continues to be bullish technically across the board, even on the pound Japanese yen, right? Same thing. Is it perhaps in jeopardy? I don't know. But right now it all looks very bullish. There's no reason to attack into to the downside, in my opinion, at all, or anything like that. Now, I could see that the yen, the New Zealand dollar, looks a little bit weak out of the bunch. And if we break down below this area of support, which was the breakout retest, if we break below that support of the retest, then it might be the pair to attack against on the downside. Okay, but that's too premature. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see what happens Friday, and for whatever it sets up for, we'll be watching and waiting. But if we're prepared ahead of time, we're prepared ahead of time. Here's the euro New Zealand dollar, and you can see coming into this area of resistance. Okay, but still below it. Right? Is that a short, by the way? If we're in a downtrend, this is strong resistance, right? Is that an opportunity you could take? Yeah, I do think so. Now I do think so. It's, you could sell resistance in a downtrend. We'll see. And always wait though to get the retest. This is the test. Wait for the resumption to give the signal. You could cap your risk. It's a good trade whether it turns out to be positive or not. All right, everyone, that's a good session now. That's a much better session after we went ahead and we covered FX. Ethereum, I'll check in before we leave off over here, right? So Ethereum, look, it's all bullish. It's all very bullish over here, right over here, making the new all-time high. And now just, doing what things do as they make new all-time highs. It looks very bullish. What would make me turn bearish on Ethereum? It would have to fall back below, right? That over here, that trend line. And then I would be a little bit worried. However, a little bit worried because I believe if we see any downside pressure on Bitcoin and therefore Ethereum, it's going to be temporary. It's going to be this little spike down that you saw in the first cycle at this particular time on chain. And then right over here in the second cycle, same thing. And if you look at the Bitcoin cycle after having by block count, we're approaching that area right over here, right? So whether or not we see a shakeout, that's a shakeout, that's a shakeout, and then a massive move up, or we move right into the massive move up. Either way, I think that we're getting close to that massive move up. Everyone, thank you for spending and sharing this time with me. I hope you all have a beautiful day. But before I leave, I'm going out with some honeymoon vocals. I'm going to include the link if anyone wants the link to it, right? Pretty cool. One of you reached out to Ziv, the artist, Ziv Moron, who composed this song, and let him know how it's affecting so many people's lives. As an artist, that must be so special to hear. And we're so grateful for Ziv and everything that he adds to this community as well. Honeymoon vocals. All right, everyone. Have a beautiful day. May God bless you, and I'll talk to you soon.